because I think churches can be really good at building cans. And I think some of us like to buck that system a little bit because of the institutionalizing of it, and we don't like that feel, and that's okay. But I don't want to put down cans either. Churches are very good at building a strong women's ministry can, a men's ministry can, a youth ministry can, you know, an outreach ministry can, what have you, even a homeschool ministry can, right? And they have Bible studies and get-togethers and play groups and all these kinds of wonderful things. But I think the danger lies in when we think about having disability ministry as another can that we need to build. And then churches get stuck, they get overwhelmed, or they think, well, now we have to create, you know, room 7 where all of our people with disabilities need to go to this place and do this separate thing. And so we have to have this specialized thing happening. So I would propose that we've discovered a different way of thinking about it. And if you'll just click the next piece of this slide, it'll come up. I'd much rather think, rather than have another can, let's think shredded cheese.
Okay.
Because shredded cheese, instead of all of the cans being their separate ingredients, if you'll go ahead and click it through a little more. Sorry, I'm used to clicking my own presentation. So.
No, that's okay.
I like to think the church becoming more like a casserole, where the cheese is sprinkled throughout the whole thing. And so if you think of this shredded cheese spreading throughout and adding flavor and bringing it all together, then that makes sense to me in terms of how a disability ministry is going to be equipping the church. So rather than having this separate ministry, they're almost like a meta ministry, a ministry to all the other ministries, because they're doing what I do for churches, right? We're equipping each ministry to be able to include individuals within those ministries who may need a personalized plan or need a few more elements put in place in order to be successful.
Right.
And so that's what we're doing, is we're resourcing each of the ministries where those people belong, because we don't want to take an adult in the seniors ministry with dementia, who we're going to label as a person with a disability, and put it in the same group as a youth group member with autism and an elementary student with ADHD and a toddler with Down syndrome, and call that our disability ministry and put them all in a room together. What are they going to do together? Right?
Exactly.
Doesn't make any sense. They need to be within the ministries where they already fall in line and into place. And so that's who we need to resource and be a resource for. So that's how I envision it. And it seems to make sense to churches. And so often I get this, rather than this sort of overwhelmed feeling of, oh, we have so much we need to think about and do, when I get to this part in this explanation, there's just this huge sigh of relief, and churches go,
right.
Oh, I think we could do that.
Exactly. Yes, because you're not disrupting everything. You're just melding it together. And people with disabilities do that. I think when we isolate those with disabilities, I didn't tell you this part of my story, but I have 10 siblings, all adopted with special needs. And so, you know, my parents going to church, my siblings are just part of that fabric of their church. And it allows people to maybe be a little uncomfortable, but yet to stretch themselves. And we learn how to live more like Christ, and within our separate ministries the same way. So I love your analogy. Perfect.
Well, I can't take credit for personally, but it's been a group effort from CLC Network. But it works. And I love thinking of the church as a casserole. There's just a lot you could go with that whole idea anyway.
Oh. Well, if you I grew up in the North, just like you, casseroles are in every church.
Something in life happens, somebody shows up with a casserole. It's just good.